It's Saturday morning. It's 9 o'clock. Yes, it can only mean one thing. It's time for the Monster Magic Saturday show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Good morning and hello once again to the Monster Magic Saturday show. I hope you have had a lovely week. I certainly have, and it all seems to have gone too fast, of course, but I've got a great show for you today. Well, I've got some great tricks to show you at least, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. First up, we have Vanishing Point by William Tyrell. This one looks fantastic on the video, fantastic on the trailer. If you haven't seen it, you carry 5 boxes of playing cards, and in a blink of an eye they shrink down to just 1 box. The other boxes just vanish. Visually very, very good indeed. It all fits inside this little box, which is completely remarkable. In here you get the gimmick, and you also get some extra bits which help you customize the gimmick. So you can change the colors, you can have them, comes all red to start off with, but you can change it to blue, you can change it to multicolored, and you can also customize it. So if you use Tally-Ho or Phoenix or whatever, William shows you how to do that as well. And I'm very impressed with William's teaching on this, actually. Very slow, very steady, and make sure you'll get everything right, especially if you're customizing a gimmick. It's quite important that those instructions are clear, because any mistakes there and you'll be straight back down the shop buying a new one. He also clearly explains various different setup options that you might want to do, and also nuances of how to hold the gimmick, how to practice with the gimmick. And then he runs through how to perform it in a live person-to-person way, and also in a social media format. And this is really where you can sort of split this trick right down the middle into whether you're going to be performing it for people live, or whether you're going to be on social media. For social media, let me just cover that. William runs through various different methods, various different ideas, various different ways of displaying the gimmick, and then how to do the vanishes. He also talks about black art and so on. And really, social media, this thing kills. It is brilliant, and it's almost flawless for social media, I would have thought. I'm not a big social media person. If you ever watch my Instagram, you'll see I'm not sure I really know what I'm doing. But because you can control everything, and you can control the angles, you can control the lighting, it is a great gimmick. In the real world, you will encounter various things you'll have to overcome, shall we say. The gimmick itself is really, really durable, so you don't have to worry too much about carrying it around. You don't have to worry about it wearing out necessarily. It's you know, as long as you don't start sitting on it, it'll last you a lot of performances. But getting into this trick is the real biggie for me. You can't sort of set up, you can't do it in front of anybody. So you have to approach the table with this already set up and use it as your first visual opening trick, which is fine, but William doesn't really cover how to get into it or any ideas like that. But he does cover how to sort of casually approach a table, holding the gimmick down by your side as if you are genuinely holding 5 decks of cards. And I would probably, he doesn't really talk about routines necessarily as such, but I would just say, you know, got 5 decks of cards, which deck would you like us to use? And then just vanish them all. So I've only got the red, and that's either the color they chose, or I can say, well, I've only got red, so and move on. You can easily ditch the gimmick, so you can be sort of semi-clean. Even once the gimmick's gone, you can't hand the box out for examination. Not that you really would, not that you really should, because there's still something sort of in or on the box that is a gimmick. But that's fine. Really, what you're going to be doing with this is approaching the table, vanishing the other boxes, and then pulling the cards out and going straight into a card trick. I would do it as a first bit of astonishment to introduce a great bit of visual high impact sort of magic to start off with. Give them a surprise. Make sure they don't think you're like their clumsy uncle pulling a coin from behind your ear. Show that you've got some great stuff to show them, and then move on and put the box away. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. He does teach various different ways of getting rid of the gimmick. There is also a slight angle issue. You might notice you've kind of got this sort of 45-degree angle. You've only really got a few sides of the boxes that you can show. So anyone sort of, you know, I don't know, a bit more than 45 degrees will be able to see what's going on. But really, usually that is your performance angle at a table. You've got to choose your moments for doing it. Perhaps if you're doing walk around at a cocktail party or something, probably a bit harder to get away with. Also probably harder to set up on the fly without people seeing what you're doing. But as long as you know where you're standing at the start of the table when you first approach them, those angles will be fine. Anyone, you know, behind you really shouldn't be paying attention to what you're doing. They've probably got better things to be doing than looking at the back of the head of a magician. There is a little telltale sign down the front of the gimmick that could give away that there's something a little bit awry with these boxes if you sort of hold them in front of the spectators for a particularly long amount of time and draw attention to them, which you shouldn't really be doing. I'd rather this telltale sign wasn't there. I understand why it is there. It's part of how the gimmick works, and actually is fine, because usually if your eye sees a deck of cards or something that looks like a deck of cards, it assumes it's a deck of cards. They're not. You don't start searching for things to prove whether or not it is genuine, really pretending to be what it is. You don't go around looking at a car and go, I wonder if that's really a car, and and it is just a quick visual opener and then move on. So it's all over before they can really backtrack or inspect anything or pay too much attention when you're in the setup position. There's a small amount of noise, nothing to really worry about in a normal environment. And the teaching is really good. It teaches you how to practice it, teaches the various different ways of setting it up, depending on your preference. And it is very, very easy to do. The only real thing is, like I say, is it has to be your first effect. You have to set it up away from the table, so you've already got it set when you're approaching the table. But otherwise, it's good. It is really good. Social media wise, like I say, it's social media gold, and it's $29.99. That is a Vanishing Point by William Tyrell. And next, where would the world of magic be without a new Craig Petty release? This is GateKeeper, which he's released through Penguin, as he released his Keymaster a few years ago through Penguin as well. I think it was originally released through World Magic Shop, but he's moved to Penguin. And Keymaster is brilliant. Do get Keymaster if you haven't got it. This is also a standalone effect, GateKeeper, but it uses the same keys as Keymaster, so it is quite a useful sort of addition to that as well. But like I say, it is a standalone trick too. The effect is like a bar bet, essentially, and I love a bar bet premise. You give someone a key and you give someone a $50, and you ask them if they can put the dollar through the hole in the key. Obviously they can't. They can bash it as much as you like, but it is obviously impossible to put a $50 through the little hole in the key. And then you explain how it's done, and you show them by stretching the hole into a slot, dropping the coin through the key, and then putting the hole, making the slot back into a hole, and handing them out for inspection. It's great. And as Craig says, what could be a more organic everyday carry than a key? You can put it on your key ring, and you've got a wonderful piece of magic. And it is brilliant magic because, for something to do impromptu, to change the state of a key and to show them a key that looks completely impossible is mind-blowing. And it also just packs really small and fits on a key ring. It is easy to do. I'm going to show you the key. I don't want to show you the gimmick, do I? So this is the key. It is uncut, as are the Keymaster keys. I didn't really notice that they were uncut, even when I saw Keymaster. I don't think it really matters. You don't have to draw attention to it, but you can just say they're blank. And they're just an ordinary Yale house key that you could pick up from Timpson's if you're in this country, or any locksmith. So that's absolutely fine. Now, unusually for Craig, the tutorial is only 40 years long. So he's given me a bit of a break this week. No, it's 40 minutes, and he runs through all of the moves you need. And this is a surprisingly simple trick to do. And what is great is that all of the moves are motivated. The routinging is such that there's never really any heat when you're doing anything that could be described as a move. You're sort of talking about very simple coin sleights, which is almost easier with a key. You can hold out a key, and I mean, I guess you want to call it sort of a finger palm type position, but with a key, because of its length and style, it's much easier than a coin, and a bit of a spellbound routine. Craig teaches it all, so you don't have to worry. And if you don't know how to do either of those things, you're completely covered. And also you can then incorporate it into any coin magic you might want to do. I love a gambling hook. I love how simple it is to perform. I love how powerful it is as a piece of magic. It's sort of quirky, sort of funny with the stretch. Craig does a nice stretching of the hole where the participant is holding the key as you stretch it, and that's a really good idea. I didn't like the bit where he waves the coin over the back of the hand as a wand, but that's just my personal preference. It is great, and it is only 19.99. So if you've got Keymaster, it's a great addition. If you want an everyday carry that gives people sort of a glimpse of the impossible for very little work, it's ideal. And that is, of course, Gatekeeper by Craig Petty.
I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough.
The rants and tantrums that we all love, and I just can't seem to get enough of Craig. And as if Craig was throwing down the gauntlet for what could be a more organic everyday carry than a key, Crazy Sam's fingering. What could possibly be more of an organic carry than a fingering? I don't know which is the more organic, but a ring is certainly something that you can very easily carry around. And Crazy Sam, you might remember Crazy Sam from, he did Crazy Sam's handcuffs with the elastic bands not so long ago, which is a great take on Crazy Man's handcuffs. He's obviously got the moniker of Crazy Sam. If you watch the tutorial, he doesn't look very crazy. Very much introverted Sam, I would say. And this is his take on Nicholas Lawrence, Off and On, or On and Off, can't remember, and which was about 10 years old, I think, that Nicholas did it with Sans Minds. That again sort of harked back to Mir Yedid and David Harkey, who sort of did this sort of missing fingers and played around with their little fingers and hiding fingers and moving fingers and all of that stuff. If you want to go back and check out their work, please do. If you've got Nicholas Lawrence's original routine from Sans Minds, one of the very few things that was good from Sans Minds, another thing that was good was their Vanishing ring box. If you've already got the Nicholas Lawrence stuff, then I'm not sure this is going to add too much to it. But Nicholas Lawrence is very much involved in this project. He sits with Sam and they talk about how the routine developed and so on. If you're not familiar with the effect, if you haven't seen it, it is basically moving your middle finger to where your little finger is and back again, and having the ring jump from one finger to another. Visually startling, it'll make people jump. It's really not what people expect you to do when they ask to be shown a magic trick impromptu. You do need a ring for this trick, and a lot of people were saying that why can't it just be a download? I think they were just trying to get it cheaper, but what type of ring you use is important, and Sam spends quite a lot of time on the tutorial running through why this ring is ideal. You don't want a thin wedding band ring at all. You want something sort of this width, and you want it to be sort of curved on the inside and smooth, which this ring is. So you can obviously go down to Walthamstow Market and try and find a nice cheap ring and do all of that stuff, but I think it's ideal that the rings are included. The issue, of course, is that then you've got to figure out your ring size, and to do that you need to get some string, wrap it around your finger, your index finger, mark it with a pen, find out how long it is. That will give you the circumference, and then you can figure out your ring size from the chart. I didn't find that at all helpful. I think I came out as a massive ring off the chart. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but this is the large, and the large ring in the large fits perfectly on my. I feel I'm a very average person. I'm, average, sort of average in clothing, generally speaking. Maybe veering towards the small now and again if I've done some exercise and been down the gym. So this is the larger ring in the large, and it fits nicely on my index finger, sort of snugly so it won't fall off, because this is probably the finger I'm going to be wearing it on when I'm carrying it around, but big enough that it slides on and off my other fingers nice and easily. And that's really what you're looking for. You do get 2 rings in the box, and this one's slightly smaller than this one, so you do get a size range within each one. And this one, you can see, is just a little too tight. Almost goes over my knuckle, but it's a little too tight. So I think if you're basically, if you are, or you're similar build to me, sort of average hand size, I would go for the large. If you're a little bit bigger than me, I would go for the extra large. But that isn't where the difficulty ends. No, as Sam himself points out, this is gonna take some practice. Yet, if you want to make it look as good as Sam and Nicholas Lawrence do, it is going to take time, and it's not just practice. You really have to learn how to move your fingers and make your fingers more supple than flexible than they probably are already, unless obviously you already do a lot of fingering. You might be all right, but for me, I find it very hard. I don't know, my brain doesn't seem that connected to my fingers. I can't do the Spock thing. I think I was getting very frustrated of trying to move individual fingers around. I did that better in rehearsals, like I rehearsed this. So you really need to be able to move all your fingers independently as well, and also you need to be able to flex them. So you're going to go through a bit of a yoga Pilates daily routine for a week or so, stretching your fingers and getting your mind to work on how to operate them all nicely and individually, because this, you don't want to be hanging around too much when you're creating the illusion of the moving finger and so on. You need it to be rather fast, the setup to be rather fast. You don't want to dawdle too much, so you've got to make nice and smooth. If you're not nice and smooth and people are burning your hands for too long, they might see through the illusion, and it is an illusion. You're not really ripping off your fingers and moving them around. There are no fingers in this box at all. It's just the rings. There are angle issues as well. I won't say issues, just got to be aware of the angles. You've got to perform it for people, and you want to get the angle just right so they're focusing from the right point. Otherwise, anyone looking from below or from a nasty side angle will see what's going on with your hands. But it is a great visual trick. It's a brilliant everyday carry. It is a visual wonder. It's a terrific trick. I can't recommend it enough. I'm very tempted to go through the Pilates routine myself. I might even come back next week and show you how I got on. The tutorial is almost an hour long, I think about 50 minutes long, and it is dubbed, but don't worry about that. It's not like watching a bad Jackie Chan film. Well, there aren't bad Jackie Chan films, are there? It's not like watching a badly dubbed film with the lips moving far too fast. It is mainly close-ups of his hand, so you kind of forget that it's dubbed anyway. And the teaching is very clear. It's all focusing on the hands. You get to see many angles, and he talks very clearly about exactly what's going on. So that is really, the tutorial is as helpful as it can be. But like I say, what you're doing is not easy. I can't really recommend it highly enough, provided you are willing to put in the work, and that is just the way it is. but once you have, you've got something that you can use at a drop of a hat that will freak people out, that they'll be talking about for days. It's great. It's Crazy Sam's fingering. And now we have N3 by N2G. This is a terrific gimmick. This is what you get. You get an ordinary copper coin, $half, and a gimmick. And what this enables you to do is to change a $half visually into a copper English penny, an old English penny that even us in England can't remember. It is a terrific gimmick, and I think it's got a lot of applications. Unfortunately, there are only really 2 routines taught on the tutorial, and that is a nice sort of hop in half routine, which I really like, because you sort of take out the $half, the silver coin, you visually change it into the copper coin, then they open their hand and they've got the $half still. It's a really nice take on that hop in half. Very easy to do. He teaches how to hold the gimmick out as well, in a nice little bit of thinking there. And then there's a routine where he puts the coin in his mouth, and I'm not that keen on putting anything in my mouth, any foreign objects, you know, a coin, that's not the cleanest thing, is it? So I wouldn't do that bit, but I would do the hop in half routine. It's a bit of a shame. I think this gimmick is more versatile than what they're letting on, and any experienced coin worker, I'm sure, can come up with lots and lots of routines for it. And it's just a shame there's just really the one decent routine for your £50 with a gimmick that is that good. And like I say, I think it's got open to many other applications. The tutorial is also silent. There's just a bit of music in the background, and it's just a close-up on the hands and how to perform the routines. The actual movement of making the coin change, you know, because there's no explanation, it's all just visual, it's quite hard to figure out where to press and how to hold the coin, and how to sort of adjust your fingers to make the change happen with the coin. Which is a shame. So that's just going to take a lot of playing around and sussing it out. It would be nice if, even if there was just sort of subtitles sort of pointing to where the pressure is or how the coin's being held, a little bit more detail there would have been great. But otherwise, it is a super gimmick. I love the visual change. I love the hop in half, but you know, it's £50, which I just wish there were more routines included with it. And that is N3 by N2G. And finally, I know it's already the last trick of the show, we have Monte by Max Maven. Sadly, the late Max Maven. He was a packet king. He loved his packet tricks, and B-Wave, I think, is probably one of the best packet tricks ever produced. You certainly get great reactions for doing almost nothing. This is his take on a Monte. It's got very much the feel of a colour Monte routine. The premise is that you're going to explain to people why they shouldn't play the old street scam of find the lady or find the card. So they don't really get to make any decisions. You just sort of run through to sort of ward them off playing the game, which is a nice hook. You show that you've got 3 blue-backed cards with blank faces. You ask the participant to put a sticker on one of the cards to identify it as the card they need to find. And you then just show that it's never on the top, it's never on the bottom, and they can't win no matter where they guess. You then have their card face up, clearly showing them the stickers on it, and you ask them to touch the blue-backed card with the sticker on it. They obviously touch the card, and you turn it over to show, no, there's a blue-backed card, this one is red, and you then visually change it. Now, I was trying to help you all along, and you visually change it to say you pick this card. It's very, very good. It is a lovely routine. It's easy to do. Eric runs you through all of the moves, plus his little variations and alternative handlings that not only has he found in previous Max's books and write-ups, but also from his experience of performing it as part of his walk-around set. You do get the stickers included. Let me just show you. I can prove you get the stickers. Can I prove you get the stickers? You do get the stickers, and the cards are maiden back. Obviously, this card is just, you know, blank. You could probably make up the set once you know exactly what the gimmicks are. You can make these up from any deck, I imagine, but these are made back. It doesn't matter because it's a packet trick. The pick this card is obviously printed on the back in this case. If you did make up your own, you could do it in your own handwriting, should you wish. It's interactive, it's a fun packet trick, which is very easy to do. Where it stands in the list of Monte routines, I'm not really sure. Obviously, stand-up Monte is probably still the king, but it's got lots of phases. It's hard to remember. It's all very involved. But it is brilliant. You've also got things like Anthony Owen's Monte, which I really like. So it's up to you. It's certainly got the flavour of Colour Monte. It is a nice routine, and it's only $18.99. And that's it for another week, I'm afraid. Yes, time flies when you're having fun. I hope you've had your cups of tea. I hope you've had a croissant or a cinnamon bun even, and you've enjoyed the show. If you have liked the show, please do subscribe and please do like it. Not only does it mean a lot to me, you won't believe how obsessed I am about getting the thumbs up or comments. Any interaction really does mean a lot. But I am desperate to get to 1,000 subscribers eventually. I think I'm on about 605, 607 at the moment. If I could just if I get over 610, that would be great. If I get to 615, that'll be good. I'm just edging ever closer. So please do subscribe if you like the show. So until next week, please grab a key, grab a ring, grab a coin, and go and have a lot of fun with the best hobby in the world. Bye-bye.